500 years ago, one of the greatest cities on Earth stood here. And 2 years later, it was gone. And the man who could have stopped it opened the gates himself. Why would someone destroy their own civilization? Why?
The books, the maps, the houses, the temples, everything the Aztecs had built over centuries, gone in weeks. This was one of the greatest cities that ever existed. It was called Tenochtitlan. 200,000 people, a zoo, running water, things Europe hadn't figured out yet.
And almost nobody knows its name today. Because when you burn the books, you burn the memory too.
This city took centuries to build. It took 2 years to disappear. I've been trying to figure out how, and why nobody stopped it.
The city had a ruler, one man in charge of all of it. His name was Moctezuma, and he ruled the most powerful city in the Americas. Before we get to how it ended, you need to see what he was trying to protect. This is Tenochtitlan, one of the greatest cities on Earth alive.
Before it burned, this is what it was. 200,000 people in the middle of a lake, on an island, connected to shore by 3 giant causeways. London at the same time, 60,000 people, open sewers. This city was ahead of the world. They grew food on water. They built floating gardens, called chinapas, and farmed on the lake itself. This is a zoo.
In 1590,
Running water, piped across the lake into the city, on a scale Europe hadn't figured out yet. Moctezuma was in charge of all of this. He knew exactly what he had, which makes what he did next almost impossible to understand.
First, what Moctezuma was actually believed it was coming. Second, what Cortés understood that nobody else did. Third, the one decision that made everything impossible to undo, in that order. Then there is this part. A Spanish soldier shows up on the coast of Mexico with about 500 men. That's it.
Against one of the largest cities on Earth. Against an empire that should have crushed them in days.
Against an empire of millions.
That is Moctezuma, the man trying to decide what to do next.
First theory, Moctezuma thought they were gods. That would explain everything. Did Moctezuma actually believe that? Or did someone write that story afterwards to make the Aztecs look like they were too naive to fight back? Most historians now think that the God story was added later by people who wanted a simple explanation. So if it wasn't that, what was it? Here's the part almost nobody talks about. When Cortés landed, he didn't march straight to Tenochtitlan. He stopped at other tribes.
The Tlaxcalans, the Totonacs, people the Aztecs had conquered, people who had been paying tribute to Tenochtitlan for generations.
People who hated them. And those people joined Cortés.
By the time Cortés reached the city, he didn't have 500 men. He had thousands. People who wanted the Aztecs gone. This wasn't a Spanish army anymore. It was becoming something much bigger.
Moctezuma wasn't just facing an invasion, he was facing a rebellion with Spanish weapons on top of it. That changes everything. So was he already losing before they even arrived? But it still doesn't explain why he let them in. Because there's one more thing, the thing nobody could fight.
And then something arrived that nobody could fight. Smallpox.
The Spanish had it. They were immune. Their people had survived it for generations. The Aztecs have never encountered it in their lives. Before the siege even started, it was already spreading through Tenochtitlan, killing people the Spanish haven't even met yet. Moctezuma died. His successor, who lasted 80 days, also died from smallpox. Think about that. You are trying to defend your city, and people are dying from something invisible. Something you have no word for. Something no weapon can stop. The Spanish didn't conquer the Aztecs with swords. They conquered them with something they didn't even know they're carrying. Which makes me wonder, was it already too late? No matter what he did. The siege lasted 75 days. Let me show you what was left.
When it ended, this is what was left. Same place, it's just the zoo is empty. The aqueduct is broken. The water stopped. The Spanish burned the books. Almost everything the Aztecs had written about who they were, what they knew, what they believed, destroyed. We know more about ancient Rome than we know about Tenochtitlan because someone decided that knowledge was dangerous. What would have been there if it hadn't been erased? We don't know. We can't know. That's the point.
I've been trying to answer one question. Why did Moctezuma open the gates? And I found 3 things. He was facing a rebellion from his own people. He was losing people to a disease no weapon could stop. And maybe he thought Cortés was something else entirely. I think he knew. Not that he lose, but every option he had was bad. Fight and lose thousands in battle. He might not win. Refuse, and the alliance outside the city attacks anyway. Open the gates and hope. He chose hope. Maybe he chose hope. I don't know if that was a mistake or the only thing he had left. I keep thinking, if one thing was different, would any of us even know the name of the Aztecs? Or would they just still be there?
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
In 1776, they had no shoes. Less than 200 years later,
The 4th rung up.
they had moon boots. Nobody saw that coming. If you like our stories, please subscribe for more.